welcome back to Thone's Hebrew Nibbles number 45, A New Covenant. And this is labeled part 1 of 7. And let me give you a little hint. When I got in, after I chunked this up into pieces for those 7 parts, I discovered that one of them was too big. And so there's actually 8 parts. So we have because it's a 4A and a 4B as well. So there are really 8 parts. And this first part, though, is the condemnation of sin. And the reading today comes from Hebrews chapter 8, verses 7 through 13. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant. And I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind, and write them in their hearts, and I will be able to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest, for I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. In that he saith, A new covenant. He hath made the first old. Now that which decayeth and waxeth old is ready to vanish away. So this is about sinfulness. Why is this in the Bible? This explains why we need a new covenant. Communication is man's fallen nature. Application to me. The initial question in this series is, why wasn't the old covenant sufficient? The simple answer is because sinful men could not keep the old covenant, and that the old covenant was condemning. So there was no way anyone could be saved from that condemnation permanently. By its very nature, and we'll talk more about this as we go along, but by its very nature, the old covenant was a set of rules, and it had no way to make exceptions to those rules, and it had no way of weakening those rules or strengthening those rules or any of those things. It was a set of rules. And if you disobeyed any of them, then you were condemned. And so, with that condemnation, there was no way you could be saved permanently. God says man was to learn from the law. That was the intent of the law. Man was to learn right and wrong from the law. And my personal response, Lord, thank you for explaining the fatal implications of the old covenant. And that condemnation means fatal. So that's the implications of the old covenant. If you did not follow every single law, every single minute, then you will be condemned. And only through the grace of God were the Jews allowed to go on to the next year when the high priest presented this offering on the Day of Atonement for their sins. And so then that postponed any judgment, condemnation, and postponed it. And so That's the way this story begins, and it being an 8-parter now, we'll be in it for quite a while. So we'll talk more next time about it. See you then.